So long. So I see you got the soccer ball in your hand. So do you plan on going pro?
I play baseball.
Oh, you play baseball. In baseball, do you plan on going pro?
Yeah, like that.
So what benefits do you look forward to for baseball bringing to you? Is it, you know, having riches, you know, mommy and daddy don't have to struggle anymore, things like that?
Yeah.
Would you say? Right, to kind of get out of the condition that Officer Tazalak was just speaking about, correct? So now let me give a scripture to you real quick. Let me get Wisdom of Solomon chapter 7 verse 25, right? Because this is a question that you have to ask yourself. Because let's say, for instance, you do make it to the big leagues, right? But I think it was just somebody in baseball, they just got they nose bust by a pitch, came like 94 miles. Let's say that happened to you, right? And let's say you can't play baseball anymore, right? Now you just back, you know, your regular person in society, right? What then? Right? But if you can answer this question right here, truthfully and sincerely, your life will never be vain. Read that.
If riches be a possession to be desired in this life.
So if riches is something that you desire to have in this life, read.
What is richer than wisdom?
What is richer than wisdom? Right? You have to ask yourself that question. What is richer than wisdom? Let's find out what that wisdom is. Deuteronomy 4:6. Let's find out what that wisdom is. Because as Israelites, the Most High gave us a blessing, right? He chose us, but he also gave us his laws. That is something that no other nation has received from the Most High God. That's why Officer Tazalak was saying that we're supposed to be on top, right? If we're supposed to be the smartest people on earth, the wisest people on earth, why are we on the bottom, right? Because if wisdom is better than riches, and we look at the so-called white man and his riches, even though he got it through rape, rob, and murder, put him on top of the world, shouldn't we be above him? Because we would have wisdom. Even if he did have his riches, if we had our wisdom, we should be on top of the world. But we're not. So read that.
The book of Deuteronomy chapter 4 and verse 5.
Read.
Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as the Most High my God commanded me.
Read.
That ye should do so in the land whither ye go to possess it.
So this is when we were going into the land of Canaan, right? This is when we were going into the land that was promised to our forefathers Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And Moses is telling them that the law, statutes, and commandments, what we have been told today, this is what we're supposed to keep when we go into the land. Let's see why. Read.
Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations.
So, growing up, right, being a young, I guess what they would call Cuban American, right? Have you ever been called things like special, holy, right? Peculiar? You haven't probably been called those things, right? A lot of times, right, they say degrading terms, right? Call you a spit, call you a wetback, certain things like that. So why are we called these bywords and these proverbs, right? Because we're different, but also because we don't keep the commandments that we were told to keep by the Most High God. Right? So you can see, when we don't keep the commandments of the Most High God, we become a reproach unto the nations. But we were supposed to be seen as wise in the nations if we did keep the commandments, right? So even in your life, you're able to attest to that we've not been keeping the commandments because we've been a reproach, right? A proverb and a byword to the other nations instead of seen as wise people, right? So now that you know that you're an Israelite from the tribe of Dan, right? What's required of you? Because you trying to be a baseball player, certain things are required to you. You got to have a good diet. You got to show up to practice. You got to stay out of trouble, right? Hopefully you probably, what grade are you in? The 10th grade. You're trying to get a scholarship, right? You got to have a certain SAT score. There are certain requirements for what you want to fulfill and what you want to become, right? But the Most High God chose you from the womb. You've been an Israelite since the day that you were born, but now you're learning. But what are the requirements, right, to fulfill your obligation as being the chosen seed of Jacob? Read.
The book of Deuteronomy chapter 10 and verse 12.
Read.
And now Israel.
What's your name, brother? Sandal.
Sandal.
Sandal. All right, brother Sandal. Read.
What doeth the Lord thy God require of thee?
What does the Lord thy God require of brother Sandal, who is the Israelite of the tribe of Dan? Read.
But to fear the Lord thy God.
But to fear the Lord thy God. So that's one thing. Fear. Read.
To walk in all his ways.
To walk in all his ways. So everything that he tells you to do, you should do. Read.
And to love him.
And to what?
And to love him.
The Officer Tazalak broke down to you. To love God is to do what? To keep his commandments. Good.
That's
Read.
right.
And to serve the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul.
To serve the Lord thy God with all thy heart and all thy soul. Now, let's hone in on the word fear real quick, right? Because I don't want you to think it's something that you gotta, cower up when, like a scary movie type of deal, right? But it's respect. right? And let me show you how you can always make sure that you're keeping in check, that you have fear of the Most High. Give me Proverbs 8 and 13. Proverbs 8 and 13. Because we have to get the instruction from this book. A long time we thought that this was the white man's book, right? He tainted it, he perversed it, so we didn't want anything to do with it. But guess what? If I were to ask you a little bit about Cuban history, you can only tell me what is in the books now today, right? But this book, right? This text has been with our forefathers ever since, right? Because we have records of what was done in the early times in the earth, right? So when we go back and we want to find our history, all we have to rely on is the text that we have today. But what about our forefathers in old times? This is where we go to find them, brother. Read.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 8 and verse 13.
Read.
The fear of the Most High.
The fear of the Most High
is to hate evil.
Is to hate evil, right? So anything that is against the Most High is evil, right? So anything that goes against the Most High, you should hate that, because that's how you show the Most High respect. That's how you show him his reverence. That's how you show that the Most High is in control of you, right? So now, in our lives as young men, we need order. We need structure. 1 Corinthians 11 and 3. I want to show you the structure that you need to have within your heart in order for you to stay inside the confines of what the Most High is telling you. You see these lines right here that you're standing in, right? Let's say that these are the Most High's commandments. As long as you stay within these lines, you're safe. But once you take one step over there, brother, it's no telling what can happen to you. It's no telling what can happen to you. So a lot of people, they like to complain, right? Oh man, religion, it puts you inside a box. It puts you inside this. But this isn't a religion. Because the difference between religion and what we're telling you is that in a religion, you get to pick what God you want to serve.
That's right.
You don't get to pick what God you want to serve, because you're an Israelite. You were chosen by God.
That's right.
So you don't have that liberty to say, well, I want to go over here and praise white Jesus, right? Or the lady with all the hands who they praise in India, right? Or whoever they got to go over in Cuba. Today, you understand that you only serve Yahawah, and that's it. Read that.
The book of 1 Corinthians chapter 11 and verse 3.
Read.
But I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ.
So your head is who the world ignorantly called Jesus Christ, whose real name is Hamashiach Yahawashi in the Paleo Hebrew. Read.
And the head of the woman is the man.
So you, once you get of age, you turn 20 years old, you want to go get a wife, you are the head of your wife. Read.
And the head of Christ is the Most High.
And the head of Christ is God. So now let's check the order, right? You got the Most High God, Christ, man, woman, and child. And when you understand that order, you understand that, guess what? You don't have the authority to just do whatever you want to do. You have two entities over you, Christ and the Most High God, right? So now that's the way you should go about structuring your life. That's the way you should go about structuring your household. Because guess who you're going to want to follow after that same order? Your wife and your children, right? Something that is a staple of a man. Because when a man's household is out of order, who do they look at? Do they look at the wife and the child, or they look at the man first? Right? They look at the man first, because it's your responsibility. Thus saith the Most High, right? So now that you know that you're an Israelite, you know the requirements, right? The requirements that are given to you. Thus saith the Lord, fear Him, walk in all His ways, right? Let me show you what is something that if you go out and do, is going to be your downfall. give me James 1 and 8. Right? Because today you receive instruction. But if you decide to disregard this instruction and go about your own way,